If you want an island hopping adventure, then I really would consider the Philippines. You've got 7,000 or more islands. Lots of them have white sandy beaches and beautiful scenery. And if you look at the images here, I just did a search for Philippine islands. And you can see clear water, fantastic beaches on small islands, and some great rock formations here. I traveled to a lot of islands in the Philippines, and if we look at Google Maps, then you can see how it's laid out. There's lots of big islands, but not only that, if you go and zoom in, I remember taking a trip from Cebu to Bohol, and I saw many islands on the way. If we just zoom in here, you can see that there are many small islands. So you really can do what you want. You can always hire out a boat and go off to these islands. So a real adventure. I want to talk about a trip that I took, which was about 25 years ago now. And it was about 6 weeks long, about 1,000 kilometers. And I took many ferries and small boats and did a real long tour of these Philippine islands. So I started off in Manila. If we come up here, you got Manila here. And you can go about 2 hours south down to Batangas port and then get a ferry over. This is about a 2-hour ferry over to Puerto Galera. This is one of the first places I went in the Philippines, and I did a diving course here. So you can get a PADI certificate for diving. And it's really nice, really lovely, clear water and lots of fish. The actual port is really beautiful. It's an old Spanish port. Let's have a look at some pictures of that. There's a map here of as you come in. I can remember now, and this is probably about 1990, I think. So actually 28 years ago, the ferry comes in here, and these are quite high cliffs over here. So you come into this port, really beautiful. And it's probably got a little bit crowded now, so you might have to get away from the main beaches, but I'm not sure. It's worth looking at. But this is what I did. You've got some pictures here of it. And you can see lots of different beaches. Maybe 6 or 7 beaches on this peninsula. And worth doing a diving course there. Another picture there of the map. So we came down to Puerto Galera and had this idea to go over to Boracay. And if you look, Boracay is down here. It's just here, which is above this island, Panay. And it looked quite easy. Okay, you can get the road down here, then go off maybe to this island, to Blas, and then down here, or maybe straight over. Looked easy, but it wasn't, because it was the rainy season and this road was blocked. So we had to go back to Batangas. We went in the afternoon, got back to Batangas, and the only boat going in that evening was to Romblon, an overnight boat. Big ferry over to Romblon here. I say big ferry, maybe medium size, I think 2 decks, and you could go down there. So it was an overnight ferry. Unfortunately, being the rainy season, it poured down with rain, and I remember I slept on my backpack on the deck. There was just a cover. I put my backpack down and then slept on that. So that was overnight to Romblon, and in Romblon had to get a jeepney down here to the bottom, to the port. I can't remember the port's name, but there's a port at the bottom there. And that was about an hour. And I remember that there was a pig strapped to the back of the jeepney, and that was squeaking all the time. So that was off to market. There's some pictures here of Romblon. And I saw a video recently that there are a few resorts on the island now, so it might be a good place to go. This one looks quite nice here. So this is on Romblon. When I went there, there was nothing there really. There were no other foreigners went there, but this looks nice. So it does look a place to go. And I saw a video that actually looked quite good, and the person actually went off to other small islands from Romblon. So you can have an adventure, even just go to one of these islands and have an adventure. Some more pictures here. I didn't see this. So you got a fort here. This is probably from the Spanish era. and lots of white beaches, white sandy beaches. I imagine that that's not very busy because I don't think they've got an airport that you can go into. So it's probably not so easy to get to. Let's go back to my trip then. And I went from Romblon, a port down here. And in the evening, we got a bunker, which is a small boat. And this was an overnight boat. It was about this size, I would say. And we took it overnight. Not that safe, I don't think. About an 8-hour journey, I think, to Boracay. And I haven't a clue how much it cost, but it was just a small one like this. I think it didn't rain too much, so it was probably okay there. But a great adventure, really exciting. There were pretty high waves, so it probably wasn't that safe, but it was fun. And we went down here. So about 8 hours going from Romblon here to Boracay, which actually doesn't look far on the map, but it was quite a long journey. And the one thing I remember coming into Boracay was the flying fish. I just got some pictures. I was amazed. I didn't think fish could actually fly. I thought they just said flying fish because they jump out of the water. But they do actually fly, maybe about a meter off the ground and go along for about 100 meters, something like that, to get out of the way. So you'll see these, hopefully, if you do what I did. And I have seen them at other places in the Philippines. So really good to see. And that's the good thing about doing this type of adventure that you make up yourself. You really don't know what to expect. I didn't expect to be sleeping on a ferry on the deck on my rucksack. And I didn't expect to see these flying fish or to get this small boat over to here. So it really is adventure. Anyway, Boracay, I wouldn't say it's adventure, but it's a good place to see. I haven't been there for many years, and I understand it's got really busy now. So you might not want to stay there that long. But it is a party place. It's got white sand. And you can go over to some of the other beaches. This main beach, White Beach, gets really busy, especially in the high season. So avoid the holidays or high season. And you can go over to the beaches at the back. It's a good place for kite surfing or windsurfing during the right season. I'm not sure what month. You'd have to check that out. But in the beach at the back, you get quite a wind coming in. From there, I went to Iloilo City down here. I probably just got a tourist bus or something to Calibo. That's the main airport for Boracay. But from here, it was a local bus. And I remember wooden seats, real bad buses. And the thing I didn't like is that the buses race each other. And the reason they race each other is to get the next pickup. As they go along, they're trying to get more and more passengers. So they try to get in front of the other buses to pick up the passengers. So you'll pick up someone and then they'll race and start overtaking the other buses to pick up the next passenger. And unfortunately, we went round a bend, and instead of going round, we went straight on and went off the road and had to change to another bus. So it is a bit dodgy there. I don't know if it still goes on. This was many years ago. But not a great road. And we went down to Iloilo City here. And I don't think we went to this island, but I know we went across to Negros. From here, I see all these roads on the map. But at that time, you couldn't do it. You had to go up and over here. We had to go right along the coast and up and down again. And there weren't these roads. So these may be new roads, and maybe you can do it now. We didn't have a look around Negros, so I don't know what's there. It was a place that they grew lots and lots of sugar. So there's many cane fields here. And that's the thing to see. But I wondered what there was to see here. So I just did a search on Negros Island, Philippines. And there are a few beaches, some old Spanish villas and other buildings here. But I don't see lots of nice islands. So maybe it's not popular for the islands. But that's good sometimes. You find a place that not so many people go, and you'll actually see the real Filipino life. You'll see what they really do there. So I recommend that, to go to places that people don't go. And actually, this whole trip was pretty much like that. There were a lot of places we went that no other tourists went to. And nowadays, you'd probably have to find places further afield. And this is probably one of them here in Negros. Carrying on, we got over here. I remember we stayed in the city that was on the west coast here. Then the next day went across. And it was getting in the evening, getting late. So we looked for a hotel. And I thought there was only one place we could find. And I thought it was overpriced. Had a bit of an argument. I got annoyed. I said, no, we're not staying there. And there was no other hotel. So we actually got stuck. We were just there by the side of the road, didn't know what to do. There were no buses coming past or anything. I'm not sure where it was, somewhere down here in the east of Negros. And it just happened an Australian came over and he said, I saw you just had a bit of problem there and you got nowhere to stay. Come and stay at our house. So just unexpected things like that. And we stayed at his house for the night and then carried on our way. Went across from Negros over to Cebu, and I'm not sure that time, but I've been to this place here, Mobile, a few times. This is good for diving. It's a bit of a dive center or snorkeling, and you can go off from here. So I'd recommend that. And another time I went up to Bantayan up here in the north, and this is really beautiful, some great beaches. So I'll just have a look at some of those. This one is Mobile, so you can see here the diving. I just did a search for Mobile, and I like that because you can see what people do there. So when I search Mobile, you can see the diving here. Got a turtle and lots of tropical fish. Looks really good there. I don't think I did diving there, but I certainly did snorkeling. I remember going out snorkeling. And I think they've got some huts that go into the sea, like this one here. I seem to remember staying in one that was over the sea. So that's worth going for the diving. And the other place there is Bantayan, which at the time really there was nobody going there. But now it's quite popular because of the white, powdery, sandy beaches. And it really was beautiful. So you can see those beaches here. Again, I just did a search Bantayan and then it gives you an idea what's there. And you can see it is all about the nice beaches. Going across from Cebu. So I came over, went into Cebu. Cebu City is quite popular, a bit of nightlife there, but quite busy. But if you like cities, then it's okay. Not too busy, but fairly busy. And from there, I went across to Bohol. You got quite a few things there. If I do the search for Bohol, then you've got chocolate hills. You've got these animals. I forget what they call them. Marsupial. I forget the name. I didn't see these, but I think now they've got a sanctuary that you can go and see them. You've got chocolate hills, and you've got an island down in the south called Panglao. And I spent a bit of time here. At the time, this wasn't very busy, but I think it's got busier now, but still fairly quiet. I think there's just one main beach and then some other smaller, quieter beaches. And this is quite pretty as well. So I went down here. I've actually got to leave Thailand in the next week or so. And I'm not sure where to go yet. But I might go down here to Bohol, maybe Cebu, maybe Vietnam, or maybe further south in the Philippines to Davao. I'm not sure yet. But that was my trip. That was where I went. And actually a total of about 6 to 8 weeks, which sounds a lot, but it is a long way to go. Even if you fly down here, like Boracay to Manila, there's Manila down to Boracay. Just that small part is an hour flight. So you're talking about to Bohol is probably about 2.5 hours flying. So it is a long way. And yeah, just did this trip, but really you can go so far off track if you want to. You can go to all these small islands. Another choice is to go over here to Coron. You could come down through Coron and El Nido. That's opened up a lot since I went there. When I went there, it was quite difficult to travel around, but now I think it's got a lot easier. So I'm sure you could do an island hop, come down Mindoro, go through Coron and down here. I'm sure you could do that. And you could also go down from Bohol. You could carry on down to Mindanao. Just be careful where you go. Some of these places are no-go areas. Davao is okay. That's quite safe. But these islands down here are not. This is where people have been kidnapped in the past. So be careful there. Another way to go back up would be to go through Leyte. So from Bohol, you could go up through Leyte and back to Manila that way. But that is quite a long distance there.